Okay, let's have a look at this week's current crop of introductions. So, we've got a two-part question. Many museums and historical sites are mainly visited by tourists rather than local people. Why does this happen? What can be done to encourage local people to visit museums and historical sites? So, as usual, let me just put some changes on. Right. Take a look at my paraphrased introduction first, and we'll take a look at yours and see what we'll see. A quick word. I noticed in the channel, well, in the group, there were about 10, 11, 12 introductions, some of which certainly require some commenting upon. However, our rule, because, we need publicity, because we don't charge you for, this. So, quid pro quo, as it were, you put some favourable comments on Aparat to help us, spread the word, and we will include your introductions. I mean, I think that's pretty fair, really. So, if your introduction is not included, and there's only 6 here, and I notice at least 10, then that's the reason why. Anyway, that aside, let's have a peep and see what we can see. Okay, let's have a look. If you listen very carefully, you might hear the church bells. I don't know if you can. It's Sunday here, and we are a Catholic here in the Slovak Republic, so that's what's going on now. Anyway, if you can hear those bells, they're faint. That's just what that background noise is, because it's Sunday morning here in Europe. Okay, so what do I do then? Well, right. Many museums and historical sites are mainly visited by tourists rather than local people. So I've changed it round, changed the word order, right? Local people tend not to visit. So I've put local people at the beginning, and I've changed it round. I made it from a positive to a negative. Instead of saying tourists go, I say local people don't go. Okay, so local people tend not to visit cultural attractions. I put that there. Leaving them to be visited in the main by tourists. So mainly visited by tourists. Put that there. Rather than local people. Put that there. Okay. Many museums and historical sites. I've changed that to museums and sites of historical interest. Okay, very good. So that's the paraphrasing part. Now, what I have to do now is to answer both questions. So, question 1. This is due to a lack of interest. Locals don't go because they're not interested. And that's what I would explain in paragraph 2. Question 2, for paragraph number 3, what can we do to encourage local people? As a solution, more promotion of these places needs to be done to arouse the interest of the indigenous or local population. So what I would probably talk about, paragraph 2 then, I'd be talking about, why locals don't go. Mainly because of over familiarity or, lack of interest in history, etc. They don't have time because they're working or whatever those reasons might be. And then question 2, what's an answer? Well, as a solution, more promotion of these places. Now, so what I'll probably talk about in paragraph 3, promotion may be local authority promotion, maybe the government, though maybe not. That's not really their job. Mainly the institutions themselves, maybe the Department of Culture, of Heritage, which some countries have, might promote those to, get the local people going. Maybe some special offers or discounts if you're a local. I know in the UK, for example, and also here, we have, I don't know, when I used to live in Cambridge, you used to get a residence card if you were a resident, and you could go and visit all the museums without paying the entrance fee. That was quite good. I think we had something like that in Oxford too, because I used to live in Oxford as well. And over here in Europe, there's the Night of the Museums. You can have that. That's in Budapest, Prague, Bratislava too, where the museums are thrown open. I think all you need is a residence card or some kind of proof of, of residence, and you can go and see them all without paying a penny. So anyway, those could be good examples for the essay there for paragraph number 3. So now let's see what you've done. Let's have a look and we will see. Okay. Although museums are monuments, well, monuments, it's a kind of historical site. Okay, but I wouldn't put monuments in the introduction. I would maybe, you start off quite broad and you paraphrase the topic, and then you narrow down and gradually focus. So if you wanted to talk about specific monuments and attractions in your country, for example, to use as an example, then I would move towards it then. But in the introduction, I just try and use the same language more or less. Have been getting the attraction? Well, you don't get attraction, you get attention of tourists. You get the attention of some might think, although museums and monuments are good at attracting tourists, you can change attraction to attracting, etc. Residents show less of a tendency, or residents tend not to visit these places. Indefinite article. A lack of awareness of historical background, or the historical background, often causes people not to put value on them, or put a value. Are you talking about local people? Because people could be tourists, it could be residents also. So I will put local in front of this. So it's clear who you are referring to. You're not talking about just like tourists and, people in general. So to put a value on them, yes, but value, does that mean that you won't visit them? Okay, so it's kind of. Okay. To modify this undesirable trend. To modify? Well, we don't want to modify what? You mean to change this? You mean to a solution to the problem? Okay. Undesirable trend. And why is it undesirable? Who says it is? There are some effective actions, mainly educating citizens. That's basically the same idea which I had. Now, cultural responsibles. No such phrase or expression in English. What? So somebody presumably responsible for culture. So would that be a Ministry of Culture, a department? But cultural responsibles, we wouldn't use that as a native. That would sound rather odd indeed. So let's see. Okay. In comparison with the number of international visitors to, I take that article out because we're referring to historical places and museums in general now. The number of domestic visitors in these places, or to these places, is better. Is significantly lower. Very good paraphrasing. Reason behind this trend might be the inattention of natives towards their own culture and historical heritage, as well as the interest of humans to experience new culture. Well, I thought right, I would take out that. We don't need that, because it's the reason why domestics don't actually go. So that part doesn't make sense. So simply now, the reason behind this trend might be the inattention of natives towards their own culture and historical heritage. Okay, that's good. To tackle this issue, Now, either we need a definite article, the government, or if it's an abstract noun, governments could not only decrease the amount of entrance fee or simply decrease the entrance fee in historical places for indigenous people, but could also launch, not also launches, it's not happened yet, could also launch a campaign or campaigns to increase the awareness of locals about the importance of a direct relation or relationship of this with or to national identity. Okay, that's interesting. I wouldn't include this in the introduction. It's a good idea. I would save that for paragraph number 3. I would save that. And then, you could use it to develop that main idea. So I would be tempted not to include that in the introduction. Just keep it simple, increase the awareness of the locals, blah, blah, blah. And then you could certainly use that idea a little bit later in your body paragraph. And I think that would work quite well, in fact. Okay, most travellers, I think that's just 1L, visit archaeological places and museums more than local residents. Okay, good. The main reason is that such places are no longer interesting for the locals, since they are familiar with the sites and there's nothing to make them eager. The possible solution, or a possible solution, is that historical and cultural ceremonies should be held in these places to encourage local people to visit them more. Well, that's interesting. It'd be interesting to see where the rest of this essay actually went, I suppose. So what you would talk about here for paragraph 2 is why, it's, as I mentioned in my introduction, I would probably say something about, a lack of interest, familiarity, it's where they live, so they're not too interested, and talk about that. Paragraph number 3, answer to question 2. So that would be interesting for you to say what historical and cultural ceremonies should be held there. I'm not quite sure what that might be. It would be interesting to see, as I say, where this idea goes. Okay. A large number of museums and historical places are basically viewed more by tourists and foreigners compared with or to local people. The reason is that foreigners have to visit in a certain time where they came. When? What do you mean when? When they come, and according to their purpose. To encourage local members of what? You mean people? To go visiting their town's landmarks, it is necessary that the mayor, that should be spelled with an O, of the town, it's necessary that the mayor of the town should provide some facilities and entertainments in order to make local people happy when they are in such places. Okay. So again, it'd be interesting to see where this was going. So foreigners have to visit in a certain time. So I suppose, but why do they have to visit in a certain time according to their purpose? I don't really know. Unless you're talking about like when tourists go to a foreign land, they usually have like a list of the key sites that they must see. Must go to the Mona Lisa in Paris. Must go to the Eiffel Tower in Italy. Was it in Pisa? Or whatever. I don't know. Oh, sorry. The Leaning Tower of Pisa or the Eiffel Tower when it's Paris. I don't know. But, you get the idea. When people go to a particular place, they have a list that they have to tick, 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 tick. So maybe that's what you mean here for paragraph 2. The mayor, why is it the mayor? Should provide some facilities and entertainments. Again, it'd be interesting to see what they would be. Okay, so let's see what we've got now. Most of the museums and historical places have been. Why is this present perfect passive, have been mostly visited. Don't you mean are? Why is it present perfect passive? Why are we using that? Say, most of the museums and historical places are mostly visited by tourists rather than the local residents. Reason behind this is both entertaining and educational. What does that mean? What does that mean? That doesn't really say anything, really. The reason behind this is both entertaining and what the reason is entertaining, or do you mean entertainment? So that doesn't really give me much of a hint where that's going. However, they will turn to an enjoyable place to visit. You mean, I presume that they, the pronoun here, refers to museums and historical places. They will turn to an enjoyable place. What? They will be an enjoyable place to visit. If governments address these issues, what issues? I thought there was only one issue, that locals don't go. By providing more related, is this supposed to be recreations? To enjoy and more informed guides to explain. Okay. Well, it's okay. This could be a little clearer, perhaps. The phrasing could be a little better, but okay, I understand. Again, we would have to see what the rest of the essay had to say about that. Foreign visitors are more interested in museums and historical landmarks than native people in general. Yeah, good. Probably caused by lack of enthusiasm. To solve this, the government should grant locals some special privileges. Okay, so now, sentence 1's good. Okay. Sentence 2, good. Sentence 3, what are you talking about? So, some special privileges, what? You mean like cheaper entrance fees or free entrance fees? Now, if you spelt out what these privileges are to which you refer, that would be pretty good as an introduction. As it is, it's just a little bit vague. But sentence 1 and 2, very good. Sentence 3 is good. It's just, I would be tempted to say such as cheap admission or something, and that would be a better introduction. Okay, so not too bad. Some need a little bit of attention, some need a bit of work, some ideas could be saved for your body paragraphs, but okay, in general, not too bad. So, I hope that helped. Once again, to comment, there were about 10 or 11 or possibly 12 introductions, and some did need some serious attention, but our policy, much as it is, like it or not, is quid pro quo. You put some favourable comments, which I don't think is too much to ask, especially if you're writing introductions on a regular basis, which I think, looking at the names here, I think most of you are. So, if you put some comment on, we'll stick your introduction in the video for next time. Excellent. So, that'll do for the time being. I'll leave this up, the question and my introduction. And we'll see you next time.